What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's stretch session. Just like any of our workouts or movements, guys, this stretch session, I always like to stress that you need to modify anything that modify any of the movements to match your fitness level. So if you see any of the stretches or mobility movements I do during this series, during this session, that you think, oh, I don't think I'm able to do that, go to something you do know you can do. So all your workouts should have stretching and mobility movements incorporated into them. So if you have one that you really like, just go ahead and do that while I perform one certain movement that you think you're not capable of, or you think might cause you some issues with any joints or muscular issues you may have. So we're going to start today with a forward fold and halfway lift. Okay, so I'm going to grab my elbows. I'm going to drive them to the top of my feet, rounding my back. Hold for about 5 or 6 seconds. Then I'm going to put my hands on my shins and do a halfway lift. Okay, I make myself into an upside down L shape, pull my head away from my ears, hold for that for about 5 or 6. Then go back to the forward fold. I'm going to turn to the side so you guys can see it a little bit better. See the rounded back. And then I'm going to go into the halfway lift. Okay, see how I'm kind of flattening my back out, really pulling my head away from my ears. And then I'm going to go back into it again. So I'm going to do 5 reps of each for about 5 to 6 seconds each. Really feel the stretch back here in the posterior chain. And then you're getting working some spinal mobility. And then that posterior chain flexibility. All right, number 4. I really try to keep my legs pretty straight too. There you go. And one more. I like grabbing my elbows, and I feel like I'm almost inching down, getting my elbows closer to the top of my feet with each rep. See if I let gravity kind of drive the elbows down as I hit the hinge, or the forward fold, excuse me. Halfway lift one more time. Really try to pull those shoulders down, shoulder blades down and back, put them in your back pocket, and then come all the way up. All right, so next one we're gonna go ahead and do is a mountain climber stretch. All right, so this is gonna be up in like a push-up position. You guys may be familiar with something like the mountain climber exercise, where you kind of jump in, stepping your legs up side to side. So this is gonna be a mountain climber stretch, all right? So I'm here, I'm actually going to jump on the mat so you guys can see a little bit more clearly. Almost in a push-up position like so. Wrists under shoulders, feet about hip width apart, and then I'm going to step one foot outside outside my hand. So basically, left foot outside my left hand. So you see my knees outside my shoulder, then do the other side. When I step it up, I try to have that long back leg, and then drive that foot into the mat. I'm going to do 5 each side, holding each one of these for about 5 or 6 seconds. 5 or 6 seconds is kind of being my go-to for some of these movements, since we're going to go through a series, but we may be doing some other movements where we hold for 30 seconds, or we hold for 60 seconds. Typically that's probably as long as we'll go, but you guys, if you find a movement, some of the static movements we do, it is beneficial to go longer than 60 seconds, and maybe up to 2 minutes, right? So that's something you probably do on a recovery day. You can either do it like you find some of the restoration portions of your workouts that we have programmed for you guys. You can turn some of those movements into basically long static poses where you hold it for 2 minutes. I believe this is number 3 each side. So after I finish this set, I'm going to go back to the forward fold halfway lift. So much like we designed your guys' movement prep and restoration, I like to have at least 2 sets of both of these movements, or of my pairs. I kind of put them in pairs typically, the stretching and mobility movements. All right, I'm going to stand all the way up. All right, so we're going to go back to forward fold halfway lift. I think showing you guys from the side really illustrates what I'm looking for between these 2 movements. All right, Drive the elbows to the top of the feet, round and back. So I don't worry about flattening my spine, really a lot of flexion in this position. And hands on the shin. I kind of use my hands on my shin to drive. Help me drive my shoulders down and back and my head. Push it almost like I'm pulling my ears away from my shoulders. Then back into it. Really trying to now pull my shoulder blades, almost I'm trying to pull them towards my ears here. And then I try to pull them away here. So if you guys are thinking about breathing patterns or wondering how your breathing pattern should be, I like when I go to my forward fold, this position, I like to exhale. And then inhale. And then exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one of each. Straighten my legs out a little bit more. Feel that a little bit more in the hammies. And then go back. Boom. Last one. All right. We're going back to the mountain climber. Okay. Back down to your mat. Okay. Back in that good push-up position. Okay. And try to step it up. Now, you may not have the mobility or flexibility to do this yet. Okay. So you can. I would do is actually we're going to go the next movement. I'm going to show you a little modification. Okay. Actually, let's go ahead. I'll show you now, right? No, it makes no sense to wait till the next movement. So, if it's having issues getting that foot, like you're kind of maybe right here, try putting that opposite knee on the ground. Then step up. See if we can achieve that, okay? Obviously, this is kind of the progression. This is what ideally we're working towards, because we're working hip mobility also here. Should feel a little open up inside, okay? But if we have to work to that, try putting this knee down, okay? Like so, and stepping the opposite leg up. Hold for about 5 or 6. Here, I just sync my breath up to kind of a normal breathing pattern. Don't really worry about syncing it up to the different sides. One more each side. I believe that'll be 5 each side. You guys will find I'll probably lose count sometimes, especially while I'm talking to you guys. Alright, you probably get a good hip flexor stretch here on that straight leg. If you keep it off the ground, it's a good way to get a little quad and hip flexor stretch on that. Great movement. Alright, so we're going to stay down on the mat for our next series. Let me check my phone real quick. Alright, perfect. Make sure we're staying on schedule. Alright, so now what we're going to do, like I was kind of alluding to, we're going to be in this position, hands and knees, and I want to step 1 foot up. So kind of like that modified one I just showed you if you're for your modified mountain climber. Now, legs aren't going to move. They're just going to stay in this position, and now our arms going to move. We're going to a little thoracic spine movement. Okay, reach my one arm up to the sky, put it back down inside the leg, and reach the other arm up. Now I can tell you, especially if you're, we're going to do 5 each arm. Each one's about 3 or 4 seconds. Each kind of reach for the sky is about 3 or 4 seconds. And what I was going to say is that this side, the side closest to the leg that's up, going to be relatively easy or more range of motion. This one's going to be less range of motion. I promise you that, okay? So don't think you have to match this side, okay? Just go to where your mobility and flexibility allows you to go. Maybe it's here, okay? Hopefully over time, it's going to increase, okay? We'll step the other leg up, do the same thing on the other side. You can kind of see, for me, my mobility. I have one side that's a little bit more mobile than the other, Okay, so what this is working, thoracic spine mobility, and I should say my flexibility, it could be flexibility also. And then also here, right here, lumbar, really that lower back. You should feel it move, especially here. I feel it right into my lower back on this side. So that kind of tells me between these two sides, left foot up, right foot up, that my left side of my lumbar, my left lower back, maybe a little tighter. Maybe a hip issue, which I know actually we'll probably see it when we do some 90-90 hip issues, or hip movements. You'll be able to see, for me, you'll be able to see maybe my left hip's a little less mobile than my right hip. Okay, so what we're gonna pair with that, speaking of some hip movements, we're gonna do what we call a dead pigeon, okay? A figure 4 stretch is another way for it. The pigeon pose, which you guys will learn eventually, and I'm sure it's already, probably you guys might be already aware of it, is a great stretch, hip mobility, piriformis. This one's really good for the piriformis, which is a muscle group back here behind your leg that's attached from the glute to behind the knee, okay? So, what we're gonna do, cross over, right ankle, left knee, and then I'm gonna reach and grab the back of my left leg, or the front of my left shin is even more, in case if you already have good flexibility, and I'm going to pull it towards me for a 5 count. Put the foot down, switch. Okay, cross it over. You guys can actually see, this is where I feel it, my left hip, where I have less mobility in my left hip. You guys can kind of see I'm not being able to pull it in as much. And you guys will have that. You'll have imbalances, whether it be flexibility imbalances, whether it be mobility imbalances. That's okay. The idea is that we try to work on them to get them the imbalances closer. One way we do that, not only is the stretching mobility, but we'll do what we call unilateral training during your guys' workouts. Single side work. So sometimes you'll stand on one leg and do a movement. Sometimes you'll just use one arm to do a movement. That's unilateral training. You guys can probably see. I mean, I can almost get this shin to my chest with this stretch. This one it's limited. Yeah. See, I mean, it's only maybe an inch or two, but it's definitely, I can feel way different on one side and another. I'm gonna do one each side. I think that's 5. And then we're gonna go back to what I like to call half kneeling thoracic rotations. Okay? Maybe you should call it thoracic reach. That might be a better description. Your thoracic is rotating, your thoracic spine is rotating, but I like the reach aspects, and that might make you think reaching in the sky. There's a lot of thoracic rotations in our program, in our exercise program, because we feel that's a huge part of staying mobile, especially your back, is having your thoracic spine rotate. All right, so go to the half kneeling thoracic reach. There we go, right? I think that's a better phrase for it. I'm going to hold it up a little longer, sorry. So for this one, for your breathing pattern, you don't have to get too crazy. I would just have kind of an even breathing pattern. I know I'm going a little bit fast. I'm trying to slow it down a little bit. One more each side since I rushed a little bit. I like to inhale as I reach, exhale as I come down. Switch sides. One more. Little modification, if this is having trouble with this, okay, you could always go to this, put your foot back, okay, and we do what we call thread the needle. You guys will see this again, okay? sometimes it's hard. People don't have the hip flexibility or their the lower back glute flexibility and the hip mobility to get that foot up. Or you can always just go hand to head, rotate the elbows in the sky, thread the needle, boom, like so. Okay, but you guys, like I said, you guys will be aware of some modifications or some other movements based on your workouts in the movement prep and the restoration. So if you have something you can't do, just jump to something you do know how to do, okay? And luckily for this, you guys can pause, you can stop, you can go back, so you don't have to worry about just do it as I do, okay? This is a follow along workout, but you guys have the luxury of pausing it. So, for that dead pigeon or figure 4 stretch, exhale as I pull it in. Inhale as I release, and exhale again. I keep my head and back down on the ground, okay? Some people, they kind of have a tendency to do like this, almost like that's gaining more flexibility if I'm bringing my head to my shin. No. Bring the shin to your chest, okay? Not only is that you're really working the flexibility of what you're shooting for, but also you don't have to strain your neck, okay? Enjoy this. This figure 4 stretch is something I do pretty much every day. Luckily with these follow along stretches or these follow along sessions, you guys, hopefully it builds your repertoire. You know, obviously you've got the movement prep, you got the restoration, those hit some good primary movements for you. But everything you guys kind of see and learn and have access to, it builds your repertoire. So if you have something that's specifically tight, then you can kind of access your catalog, either physically on your phone or in your mind, and do the stretch to help alleviate some of that tension. Like I said, getting a good program of some movements like this, I say I do this one every day, it's a great way to stay mobile and flexible. All right, so now I'm going to do some face down movements, all right? This is really going to work the upper back and the shoulders, okay? So we were doing thoracic, we were doing some mobility in my spine, but now we're going to work some scapular stability and shoulder mobility, okay? So face down, like so. And for both of these movements, I'm going to try to be nose and toes as close to the ground as possible, or on the ground, since if you're at your house, you don't worry about a gym floor or anything like that. Or if you're at the gym, you know, bring your own mat so it's nice and clean, okay? So this is going to be a face down swimmer, okay? We're going to do one arm at a time. Nose and toes down, okay? I'm going to have my thumbs pointed up to the sky. Sorry if you guys can't hear me, and I'm talking into the mat. So I'm going to have nose and toes down like this, but I'm going to talk to you guys so you can hear me. Thumb is pointed to the sky. I'm going to try to lift that thumb as high as I can without opening my chest or anything like that. So I'm going to lift, just turning my head so I can talk. Not this, normally I'm here, okay? And then I'm going to rotate the palm out and then bring it by my hip pocket. So you see my hand looks like this at the end. My palm's facing away from my body, away from my ear, okay? And then I do the other side. And then I bring them back and keep that palm turned out as much as I can, lift as high as I can, then I rotate it, bring it all the way back. We're gonna do 5 of these each arm. Up and back is 1, okay? So as I complete this one, this will be 2 reps, okay? Yeah, a lot of crunching going on that shoulder. One more. Bring it all the way back. All right, you guys will be introduced to the shoulder car. Also probably either during the stretch session or during movement prep and restoration in your guys' workouts. This is a good introduction to the shoulder car right here. Doing it while you're face down, okay? All right, so now another face down movement. We're gonna do what we call infinity hovers, all right? So this is, once again, this is working shoulder mobility, scapular stability, also working some good elbow stability too, but you know, elbow movement, because sometimes, especially we deal with golfers in here, a lot of elbow issues with golfers, as you can imagine. All right, so face down, nose down, toes down once again. One hand, fingertips on the back of my head, the other one, the back of my hand on the small of my back, okay? Head and nose and toes down. Reach. They switch position, okay? Every time I move is 1 rep, I'm gonna do 10. What I'm doing while I do this movement is pinching my shoulder blades together, keeping my elbows off the ground, okay? Up and down one more time. I think that's close to 10. Whew. For me, that's really tough on my right shoulder, especially when I fold and put it behind my back. I really got some tightness in not only the shoulder capsule, but a little bit of pride in that scapular on the right side. I had collarbone surgery. So you guys can kind of identify those sides, which is going to be a little bit harder than others, but it's important. Keep working on it, okay? Not to where we have shooting pains or anything like that, okay? But we're talking about, it might be uncomfortable, but that's okay. That's just your muscles going through movement patterns that, your muscles and joints going through movement patterns that you're not used to doing. Uncomfortable is one thing. Pain and, you know, noticeable pain, shooting pains, that's what you have to stop, okay? All right, let's go through it one more time. Coming down towards the end of your first stretch session, guys. Face down swimmers, once again. I even can feel the limitation doing this movement. I feel my left shoulder is way more mobile than my right shoulder. I don't know if you guys can see it. Well, I know you guys are probably doing the movement with me, so you're probably not looking. Almost there. Okay, I'm going to do an extra one, I'm pretty sure. I think I did 5, but I'm going to get an extra one in. Try to focus on nose and toes down. All right, good. All right, let's go into infinity hovers one more time. Huh? All right, final movement for the day. Final one for your guys this week's stretch session, okay? All right, hands behind my head and my small of my back, pinching my shoulder blades together, and switch them. I like to make sure I'm really reaching out as far as I can, kind of making a T shape before I switch my hands. Turn one palm up, turn the other one down. Really hinging at my elbows, trying to hinge at my elbows to put them behind. That's kind of where the name infinity hover comes from. You guys know the infinity symbol. Doesn't exactly look like it, but you're kind of tracing it with your hands a little bit. Woo, it's burning. I'm going to get another one all the way up. And done. Woo. That's a great movement prep too, guys, for anybody who's doing a back workout. All right, I would say that's a great one. You know, sometimes you'll probably have it in your movement prep, but if you're doing, maybe you're going off book and doing a back workout at the gym or something, I would say that's a great one. The infinity hover is a great one to warm up with. All right, so that's today's stretch session. Hope you enjoyed it. Please give me some feedback, what you like, what you dislike, for everything, the workouts and the stretch sessions, guys. And always modify, match your fitness level. Let me know if you have any questions. As always, you guys got my contact number, and then I'll see you next time.